Hold on to your biscuits, boys and girls. It's time to grade some logos with your boy, Brightcole, in the series, Grade My Logo, where you fill out the form at grademylogo.com, send me the logos that you want me to take a look at, and then we jump into Illustrator, and I'll review them, kind of explain my logic behind some of the changes, and then live kind of walk through my suggestions. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe and tell 14 complete strangers about it. Or better yet, one person that you know really well. That'd actually probably be a little bit more helpful. Anyway, guys, let's jump into today's talk. First up, we've got Hub City Fellowship. Grading this against the 3 S's. Does it work in single color? Yeah, it could if you made a couple of changes. Does it scale to different sizes, ratios, formats? Yeah, I think it could do that okay as well too. Not sure what an Instagram profile or like your icon version would look like. And then 3, does it tell your unique story? Not really. I mean, it's nice that the words kind of lay out this way, but otherwise, like, you could apply the same logic to just about any other church or organization. And then, yeah, so that really, I think this is like a C- kind of zone, but I've got some ideas for ways that we can bring it up a bit. So one of the first things I want to do is just recreate their logo in black and white and make a couple of different type choices, just slight adjustments. I feel like Hub City are a little bit lightweight, wanted to thicken that up a bit. That helps with legibility. You can see I've got my green cheater boxes that I use to measure things, make sure everything is lined up correctly, fixing a little bit of kerning stuff. And I originally wanted to play with putting that divider in the middle, but immediately thought that doesn't make sense because Hub City is one thought. There's no reason to break that up. So if we're gonna put anybody in a box or kind of like break it up, let's do the byline Fellowship, because that's one of the things that you don't have to have for people to recognize the church, and nobody goes there and says, I go to Hub City Fellowship. They say, I attend Hub City. So that's the thing that we want people to read and think about first. So I got kind of that main lockup in a good spot that I feel like is already kind of an improvement on the existing spot they're in. But I wanted to think through an icon, and I looked at like some wiring diagrams of hubs and what are they called? Airport hubs, terminals where the different flights come in and out of, and kind of landed on this shape. I wanted to tie in the H. You can kind of see that loosely there, but they're really kind of predominant things that connection in the middle there. So it's slightly intriguing, but still pretty simple because there's a couple of different components to break down. And then wanted to break the stuff out of this box here to see if it feels a little bit better, without that the outside border. And personally, I do like it a little bit better. So that's kind of where we landed. It's interesting, it's clear, it ties in with the existing look and some of the elements that were already in place. I think we're in a good spot. But let me know what you think down in the comments. Community culture, church. So does it work in single color? Yes, if you changed it out, it would work in single color. Does it scale? Eesh. So like even at this size, and granted this is a blurry screenshot that I grabbed, it's not great, it's not their fault. But even at this size though, church is really getting lost. We've got the low weight culture and low weight and small church kind of tagged on there at the end compared to the icon over on the left. This thing, even in kind of its current format, is not really scaled correctly. All the elements are not proportionate to each other. So that's one of the main areas that we want to fix. Does it tell your unique story? So I can see they've got some C's working here, and then it looks like we're either like broadcasting or there's a couple of different ways you could look at the visual here, but there's some kind of thought going on. I get it. So we'll give it some credit there. And then, yeah, I don't know though. This one needs some pretty serious help. This one is gonna be a D. But like I said, there's always hope, and I think that there's some steps we can take to get this one to a really good spot. I'm excited. So the first direction that I go here is trying to kind of play off of the existing type choices that they made, and kind of stumbled into this idea of reversing out the two. And I think that there's maybe some interesting threads to pull here, but ultimately end up abandoning this direction because it doesn't feel true to the nature of some of the other parts that are going on. And you know, how do you stack this version? What type of icon do you use? Like, it has some issues that I'm a little bit concerned about. And that's not to say this couldn't work, but I just jumped into a direction that felt stronger, and that's the way a lot of these ideas play out sometimes, where it's not to say the other idea couldn't work, but I just found one that worked much better and went with that. So started kind of playing with these little these little guys as like icons, because one of the big points that I wanted to pull in that I don't feel like are currently being communicated is the human aspect of your culture. I mean, we've got culture and community as core words in the church's name, and I don't see either of those represented in the current mark. So grab these little guys, kind of play them with some C shapes, and I like the idea of having them almost looks like they're around a table or facing each other or talking in a group, like if you're in like a top-down shot looking at somebody. Originally I've got this kind of a half circle shape, but in a second I'm going to add a couple of guys to the further right to round out that C. This right here is where I said, oh, this looks way too much like the Office logo. And so we got the Helvetica and then the black and white little icon guy there. Said, no, we gotta come up with some other stuff. And the person who designed this orange and blue said, this is like a fun, vibrant, lively kind of look. This serious, heavy black and white thing is not gonna work. So let's rope in some of those colors and kind of just start playing with some of these things. So played a lot with the different color combos. I like both of them. I feel like the orange and the blue on top of each other, I don't know, the contrast is a little off. And then started working on creating not only the guys in the shape of a C, or the little people in the shape of a C, but also have the surrounding element create a C as well. And here's where I introduce extra little people. Really kind of played with this a lot for a couple of reasons. One, there's a couple of elements going on, like the spacing between the people and the legibility of everything, and making sure all of them are measured out correctly. It's not saying they are perfectly measured out, but it's one of those things that I just wanted to, it takes a little bit of time to get it down. And so I knew that this icon, if it's working well, we're gonna be at a good spot. But again, wanted to get away from Helvetica and try some other stuff. Something rounded and sans serif felt like the way to go. Ended up looking at a couple of options, but landing on Filson Pro. And yeah, like some of these could have worked, but one of the things I wanted to avoid is looking like a technology company. And this one, Velodrama, I got excited about because it kind of plays into the, you know, all different shapes and sizes of people are welcome type of thing. And speaking of which, I actually left that space open rather than surrounding the full C with people for a couple of reasons. One, I feel like it kind of ties into that C shape, but then if somebody really pressed me on it, you know, it kind of ties into what the church should be doing. Like, hey, there's always a seat open here for you. Like, we have space for you. Like, this is a spot where we want to invite other people into. So you're tying in the values of the church in the shapes that we're kind of portraying here, which is always a big win. It makes me feel like we're on the right track once we're kind of exploring those waters. So did some more exploration with color combinations, and you know, still just kind of wanted to play around there, but there you have it. That's what I would do for Community Culture Church. Thanks for hanging out today, folks. Let me know down in the comments which logo was your favorite, and if there's anything that jumped out to you from the video. And if you'd like me to grade your logo, visit grademylogo.com and fill out the short form there, and I'll get an email. Until next time, amigos, adios.